Hey, what's up? It's the Critical Plug, and I got for you an album review of the new Kelela album, New Avatar. This is the third album from alternative singer, songwriter, R&B pop songstress Kelela, who started off with her mixtapes, Chapter 2, her EP, Hallucinogen, but she really made her artistic mark in alternative R&B with her breakout album, Take Me Apart, which was vastly futuristic, innovative, sexy. And then we had her sophomore LP, Raven, which I wouldn't call a sophomore slump, but certainly not as great as her debut. It was decent, but I do feel like it became a little one-dimensional, and she pretty much ran out of ideas pretty fast, painted herself into a corner pretty fast, and definitely not as futuristic, heartfelt, sensual, or innovative or against the grain as Take Me Apart. However, I do think she is back at light speed once again with this LP, this time with different producers, different mixers, engineers, especially with Oscar Skeller in the mix, who has done fantastic work for Charlie XCX with Charlie, Quiero Quiero Bonito, Time and Place, or writing credits for Rina Sawayama's amazing debut, Sawayama. And the more I listen to this with the direction that this album takes itself, it certainly does make sense to add Oscar to the mix. And given how this album has been fire in terms of singles, there's really no reason for me to believe that this wouldn't be another gem in Kelela's catalog. Yes, Kelela has came through with an album with artistic growth, taking herself to new places, and I would also say a reinvention. Also with a new production team as well, including Joe LaPara, who, if you didn't know, engineered for a lot of great albums, be it The Postal Service, Give Up, Vampire Weekend with Contra, Twin Shadow with Forget, and the last great album of the late great David Bowie, Black Star, and I could go on. And including these legendary choices really did add for another great step for her artistically, stylistically. And I would say vocally, she is sticking to her guns. We're definitely still getting that Janet-esque vocal inflection. However, I do think she is twisting this into her own way, because this time she is including neo-psych into the mix, and I would say this is sonically focused as well. It sounds very nocturnal, it sounds very otherworldly, psychedelic, and the way these guitars are very somber at points, very melancholic at points, very serene at points, and yes, I'm gonna say it again, psychedelic, ethereal. It definitely does remind me of In Rainbows. It's like, I don't know why, I feel like I cannot escape In Rainbows. And it's a great album, but I didn't really expect it to just trickle on into a genre that's not rock, but I'm not complaining. But I will say though that although they are using elements of rock, it's mostly to color these tracks. Prime example, At a Time with A.K. Paul. Like, there's something very murky about this track, but still captures the majestic R&B essence of Prince and the Purple Rain era. And through this album, Kelela once again specifically creates a dichotomy amongst her and other alternative R&B artists. I also love how Kelela's main vocals really cut through the mix, are very upfront, but also how there's certain effects on other vocals in addition that have effects that just give each track its own personality. Like how her passionate, sweet vocals really do play with the sound play. And with Kelela being such an eclectic artist, and with how detailed the production is, it really does defeat the argument that any artist could have made this album. And though she's not a powerhouse, she's still able to convey a lot of emotion, a genuine amount of personality. By that same token though, they have precision, they still soar, and the hooks, the melodies, they just stick with me like they did on Take Me Apart. And while Kelela's vocals are bold, they do not disrupt the hypnotic and the entrancing feel that these tracks give. The song Idea 1, lyrically displays these emotions of feeling suspicious, a sense of betrayal, and the way Kelela's vocals build with the track are great too. And she doesn't start the track off with a lot, which causes more intrigue for the audience, and with that intrigue, adding more and more additions as the track progresses. And sometimes it's not even the production here, sometimes it's the effects on her vocals. As her vocals have these echoes and delay that sounds like she's having an inner body experience and these spirits are just duplicating through the track. Especially with how much punch her vocals have here, how much bite, and how they're honestly the most confrontational on this whole LP. Which certainly fits the topic of the track, as she is speaking on this relationship bordering on destruction, with emotional bankruptcy, the two being at odds emotionally, where she feels trapped in a relationship where the love and the spark has just faded from the mistrust, the dishonesty, just calling this manipulative asshole out on his bullshit. And I find myself more and more captivated with the vocal performance of Kelela, especially on CRYSTALIZE, where her vocals just emote so much heartbreak. Her lyrics convey a lot of emotion, of emotional conflict, as she's finding herself frustrated with the betrayal, with the pain, but simultaneously just falling for this person more and more. So if it hasn't gone unnoticed, Kelela has definitely not only expanded artistically as a vocalist, but also as a songwriter as well. Like on the song Point Blank, as she likens herself to being in the line of fire of guns, bullets, and the bullets correlating to the hurt and not receiving the same love she is dishing out, constantly being stepped over by this person and their treacherous ways. The production also impresses me here as well, not only with the track's echoing bells, skittering drum and vocal combo echoing through the track, or the track LINKB that have almost these futuristic, psych, grungy guitar arpeggios, with these almost 90s hip-hop inspired multi-vocal samples proliferating in the background, along with the bass creating a booming melody intertwining with the crisp drums. Also with the breakdown to what sounds like, I believe to be, a spy camera capturing a snapshot. It's definitely a creative touch and what makes a Kelela album a Kelela album. Like, this whole album just shows the narration and delineation of being stuck in a toxic relationship, not knowing where to go, and these harbored feelings just lead to just her being stuck in the confines of her mind. And I feel like these thoughts and this nocturnal tone of the record and this futuristic tone of the record, galactic tone, just correlate and create symbolism of, I feel like, this other world that we've inhabited. And the music we're hearing is the music of this new world, this new planet. Don't Piss Me Off has this swelling, cavernous bass, steady breakbeats, and what sounds like a samurai sword being pulled out, along with sirens in the background. It sounds like a sound collage of something from Prodigy's Fat of the Land, but the atmospheric abyss of Bjork from Utopia, but a tad more lush and immersive, rushed upon with these bustling R&B chipmunk vocal samples. And I also love the arpeggios from the gorgeous and rubbery synth bass on the closer. I feel like it's very entrancing and also has easily the sweetest melody on the whole entire record, which is a great way to close the album. And I also love the alien-like ascending and descending vocal arrangements. The whole thing is drumless, but narratively does tie a nice, beautiful bow on this tragic story of loss of romance, and also give the audience the closure. And Kelela has shown she can hold her own on her projects, but the collabs here are killer as well, with the awe-inspiring and beautiful chemistry between her and AK Paul. And while the sound of this is gorgeous, it is touching, and also vastly catchy, it is simultaneously a portrait of a romantic disaster, of AK being the defendant and Kelela being the plaintiff of this trial of lovers' quarrel. But this still has to be one of the best duets I've probably heard in R&B in a while. And topically, the R&B equivalent of Kendrick Lamar's We Cry Together. There's also the absolutely futuristic banger New Life Forms with singer, songwriter, rapper Fouché, and the production is otherworldly, it's euphoric. I love their ascending vocal harmonies. They sound so harmonious with their celestial vocals just playing off one another. It just sounds like a match made in extraterrestrial heaven. There's also the undeniable, blissful, dreamy banger, Bridge, which was one of the teasers for this record, with these enchanting, repeated vocals that feels very cold, but very sexual, very sensual, but very groovy, very sexual, very addictive. And I love how seductive the lyrics are. Pink Pantheress sounds fantastic as well, as both carry a beautiful balance of soft but also have a bite to them. But yeah, I don't really have too many complaints about this LP. I do think some tracks though could have been longer, or just a full song instead of split into 2 tracks, like Against Me, which could have just been the start of CRYSTALIZE. But I will say, for some reason, the vocals are a bit too thinned out, and narratively, I think this could have been a more focused album, and it could have been a bit longer. But other than that, I don't really have too many complaints. I think Kelela is taking, once again, alternative R&B to another place, using her atmosphere, using her production, using her voice as an instrument, taking us to another world, being creative once again. And as great as her first LP was, I do think she is improving on a lot of fronts, making for a beautiful, futuristic, creative, well-rounded project, providing more memorable vocal lines. It's compelling, sonically visceral, but still able to keep it sexy. It's creative, can push boundaries, and just take us to another world, and I think she's once again chosen the right production team. And I'm so glad she didn't give us a repeat of what she exceeded on her last record. And honestly, I really don't think anyone should really have any complaints, especially if you like your R&B smooth, especially if you like your R&B to be, I would say, atmospheric, because this album is certainly that. But it definitely does, once again, use the production to be creative, innovative, and really just create like a whole new world for you. And I hope you appreciate that world. I'm feeling a 4.5 out of 5 on this album, but if you've given this a listen, what'd you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? I am your plug. Hit me with a sub. Show me love. This is my opinion. If you hate it, your view's still a dub. And that's it. Critical plug, Kelela, New Avatar,